We recently helped one of our clients 4x the revenue of our coaching business, and in this video I'm going to walk you through exactly what we did in order to see that exponential growth for this client in less than 30 days, so that if you have your own coaching business too as well, you can easily look at your business with a third eye and see exactly what steps you need to take in order for you to increase your business revenue. So I have my screen pulled up right here, and I'll just walk you through step by step exactly what we did and how we were able to approach this to grow this business as quickly as possible. If you're not familiar with me, my name is OP. I run a marketing company that helps online coaches, course creators sign more of their dream clients and scale using virtual events. We've generated over $5 million in sales using virtual events, and then we've helped our clients sign thousands and thousands of clients for their online education businesses using virtual events too as well. So if you look at my screen here, you'll notice the first thing that we did when we were trying to audit the accounts is we tried to identify the current metrics for the business, because data is always going to be the thing you go to if you want to make any decision in your business. So if you're not currently tracking anything in the business, if you don't have your metrics dialed in, it will be very hard for you to make any changes that would lead to exponential growth inside of your business. The first thing that we did here was try and identify exactly where the bottlenecks are by just looking at the metrics for this client. So I did the current stats for the previous 1,000 signups. So we literally came on board November 27th, as you can see here, and we track metrics from October 10th to November 27th. And we noticed out of the last 1,000 signups this client has gotten, she has a 3.8 pounds cost per lead. She has spent 2,400 pounds on ads, and she has collected 55,000 pounds in cash collected. And our revenue per registrant is 58 pounds. So the reason why I calculated revenue per registrant is it gives us an easy math to calculate from cost per lead to revenue per registrant. So we do this for if you are doing a high ticket funnel too as well. We calculate cost per taking call versus cash collected per call. We do this for a challenge funnel too as well. We calculate cost per challenge registrant versus revenue per challenge registrant. So it gives us an easy way to know exactly what the return on ad spend is, so that we can find ways to optimize and know exactly if you're in KPI or not. For this client, for example, we realized that she had a 15.5x ROAS on her current ad spend. And if you know anything about the online education space, literally what you want to aim for at the very least is a 4x ROAS. So if you're seeing anything higher than a 4x ROAS, it means there's room for you to scale further. And when you try to scale further and then you realize that, oh, you're dipping below 4x ROAS, you pause, you try and find where the bottleneck is, you fix that bottleneck, and you continue to scale. So for this client, literally the easiest thing that we could have done is scale the life of this funnel pretty much. That was the easiest thing that we could have done. So we looked at the metrics, everything was in KPI, 15x ROAS. I'll get into some of the other things that we noticed, because when you're trying to scale, you're meant to try to also predict areas where there might be a fall or areas where there might be a likely drop when the volume should increase, and try to fix those issues in advance before you try to scale, right? Although this client had a 15.5x ROAS, there were still other issues in the funnel that we had to fix before we pump the brakes on this. And you literally see from my notes here that I wrote that my goal is to replicate these numbers that she's doing, but do it in 1 week instead of 1 month. And if you look at the metrics here, from literally the first week of us doing webinars together for this client, we spent 1.5 thousand pounds, and then the second week we spent 2.6k pounds. Literally the second week of running ads for this client. And that's because we've seen that this is a very profitable funnel right now. The only job that we have as the marketers here is to scale this funnel as quickly as possible. The next thing you will notice here is the client wanted to introduce a new product, and that's totally fine. However, you ideally want to focus on one product until you get to the point where you are making $1 million from that one product. It's just a common theme in the industry. You want to have one product, one funnel until you hit $1 million. And if you try to distract yourself, I believe I made a video about this too as well. You can check my channel and you find a video about this. You might find that you would not make more money, but you just have more workload, meaning that you'll be working a lot more, but you won't have anything to show for it, because you are just splitting your focus between one product and another product. So you want to try and maximize one product as much as possible and find ways to genuinely make as much money as possible from one product before you even consider trying to open up a new product here or anything like that. So for this client, we wanted to introduce a new product, and we've realized that usually when a client comes on board, there's usually initiatives they've wanted to try before a new agency comes on board, and they see a new company coming on board as an opportunity for them to try a new initiative. And if we as the clients or we as the agency are not careful, we will take on board that new initiative that is not proven, completely ignore the thing they have been doing before that has been working, and have a very very, very bad first few months. So we've literally experienced this before with clients, where the clients would be doing a weekly webinar that is working perfectly. We come on board and they say, oh, I'm tired of doing weekly webinars, I want to do monthly webinars now. And we accept that new initiative, and literally that leads to us having a bad first few months. So we didn't want to make that same mistake with these clients. So I didn't want us to touch the thing that was already working, and then we told her that we were going to try and launch this new product for you as well, but we also want to keep doing exactly what has been working for you over the past 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So that's exactly what we did. We had the funnel still going every single week, but the webinar funnel we're running that has been working, and then we tried a different funnel with a different campaign, a different everything, to test this new product that she wants to try, so that we still have a way to please the client and execute a new initiative, but we don't get in the way of anything she has been doing before in the past. So that's literally that one. We also realized that she was not leveraging her email list at all. When I come into an account like this and I realize that the client has a lot of things that are already working, or the funnel is already in KPI, I don't try to look for things to improve. I like to look for things that are completely missing and tackle those things first. You're not sending emails, for example. That's a big thing that you should be doing that will help you increase the number of registrants you're getting, reduce your cost per lead, and so on and so forth. She was not sending any emails whatsoever to the email list. So the first thing that we did was to help her start sending emails to the email list, and that really drove some traffic from our email list to the webinars, get more warm people back on the webinars, and potentially increase the conversion rate of those webinars at scale. Once that was out of the way, the next thing that we tried to do for this client was to help her create an OTO offer. So to give you some context, this client has a webinar funnel and she runs traffic to a webinar opt-in, and people genuinely wait 3, 4, 5 days or so, and then they attend the webinar, and then she pitches them an offer. She has a 2K offer, and then she closes those people like right there on the call. So this client did not have an OTO in place. And again, if you remember earlier when I was saying, as you continue to scale, you want to try and predict the likely problems that will come up and try to create solutions to solve those problems in advance before you press the brakes or before you hit the gas and try to scale any type of funnel. For this client, for example, we knew when we start spending more money, our cost per lead will also definitely go up. Our conversion rates might dip slightly because we are reaching colder and colder markets now, and our return on ad spend might also start to see some dip as well. So we wanted to create this OTO to start to recoup back some of the ad spend. And if I scroll all the way down here, you'll notice that from the OTOs alone, let me put this in red, from the OTO sales alone, we made about close to £5,000 or so in less than a month. So we're spending more money on ads, but we're also making the client a lot of money from the OTOs. So that made it less of a big jump for the clients to go from not spending any money on ads at all to spending like £2,000, £3,000 per week on ads. So that's one key thing to keep in mind here too as well. Now, the next thing that we saw in the funnel was the fact that the client had a very low show up rate to the actual webinar itself. That was a big issue that we noticed for this particular client, and we needed to fix that issue because again, when we look at all the metrics in a business, the first instinct that we have is, okay, which metric here is out of KPI and which one is the easiest to double? And in this case, the show up rate was genuinely the easiest thing to double because it was about 10% or so. And for a webinar funnel, you want to see at least 25% plus or more in terms of your show up rate. So for this client, we needed to put some systems in place to get her a better show up rate. So the first thing that we did was to revamp our thank you page. So the thank you page structure that we use would have a video from the clients telling them what to expect, have a screenshot of what the email you will send to them would look like when they check their inbox, or have a couple of checklists, and if you can add some testimonials to as well, that tends to work really well. So we wanted to add that to the mix, and we created that thank you page. Then we now set up our pre-webinar emails, SMS, ringless voicemails, and add to calendar Zap to maximize the show up rate to the maximum volume. And I don't know if I have that metric here. I don't have it here, but our show up rate right now is about 35%. And this was a huge boost for these clients, considering the fact that we are now spending a lot more money on ads. We could have left everything the way it was and just spent more money on ads, but that would see us really tank the return on ad spend drastically. I think we ended the first month on about a 9x ROAS or so, if I'm not mistaken. And that's despite the fact that we started spending the ad spend you used to spend before in 1 month, in 1 week, literally. So there's that to keep in mind too as well. So pre-webinar emails, confirmation email as soon as they sign up, 72 hours before email, 48 hours, 24 hours, 10 hours to go, 3 hours to go, 1 hour to go, SMS, as many as humanly possible. Ringless voicemails is something that zaps the event to the prospect's calendar as soon as they sign up as well. So they see it on their calendar, and that really helped us grow our show up rate. And we went from a 10% to a 35%. So again, we found the metric that was easiest to double, and we literally kept the processes in place to double that. The other thing that we realized too as well is she wasn't getting enough post-webinar sales. So once the webinar should end, she wasn't seeing as much volume in sales coming after the webinar ended. She was only getting sales during the webinar. We also wanted to implement systems to help her sell more of the product after the webinar should end. And for this one, it's pretty simple. What you want to do is split the automation into two parts. You have those who did not attend, and you have those who did not buy. For those who did not attend, you basically want to just send them to the replay, right? And then for those who did not buy, you want to get them to purchase. And the focus for those who did not buy is literally trying to remind them of the discounts and the offer and what they are going to miss out on if they don't purchase before the deadline. And for those who did not attend, just remind them to go and watch the replay, ask them why they even bothered signing up in the first place, remind them of their pain points, encourage them to go and check out the replay, and then this should get you, at least if you sell 10 spots during the webinar, you should be able to sell about 5 to 10 spots post-webinar if you have this type of system in place. And then it also helps to have some type of bonus or discount that is going to expire if these prospects do not book a call or apply to work with you before the end of the entire sequence. So we implemented this for this client too as well, and it was very effective in making sure she was able to increase the sales that she was getting, despite the fact that we were scaling this as aggressively as humanly possible. Another thing that was missing for this client too as well was tracking. So a lot of people don't have proper tracking in place with platforms like Hyros and the likes. And if you don't have Hyros in place, you won't know the exact type of ad that brought in the exact type of customer, and that will not make you know which ads to turn on, which ads to scale, and so on and so forth. Because the ad might get you a low cost per lead and then not get you any sales, and then another ad might get you a slightly higher cost per lead and then get you a ton of sales. So you ideally want to keep the ads that are getting you more sales, and without Hyros you wouldn't know pretty much, and that would mean that you are just wasting your money on ads that are not bringing you actual sales. So we have Hyros set up to tell us which ads are bringing in sales, and we set that up as soon as possible to properly track this. Also for attribution, you want to know which email is bringing in which opt-in and which opt-in leading to which sale, and so on and so forth. So we need to have proper tracking systems in place for the client, and she didn't have that in place when we came on board, and we're able to implement that for this client too as well. And that's basically what we did. The final thing I have here is just setting the launch dates for the client and setting expectations pretty much. So if you have a coaching business, to summarize this for you, literally what you want to do is first get a good view of your numbers for the last 1,000 touch points. So if it's a VSL funnel, use 1,000 opt-ins. If it's a webinar funnel, 1,000 registrants. If it's a challenge funnel, 1,000 registrants or like 1,000 page views. If it's a low ticket page funnel, 1,000 page views. Just look at the last 1,000 people who came to your funnel and then look at all the metrics from start to finish. And then you want to identify first if you are in KPI. If the primary thing you're looking for, that's your return on ad spend, is in KPI, you want to try and scale that funnel as quickly as possible. But if the primary metric is not in KPI, you want to now look at all the metrics and see which one is the easiest to double. And then when you identify the one that is easiest to double, you want to work on increasing that with best practices. And once you increase that, you check your ROAS again. If it's in KPI, you can now scale. For this client, the ROAS was in KPI for sure. We worked on increasing the budget as soon as possible. And then we also looked through the funnel. We found the metrics that were not in KPI, and then we tried to increase those metrics, like the show up rate, post-webinar conversion rate, didn't have an OTO, didn't send emails, and so on and so forth. So I hope this was very valuable to you. I recommend doing this exercise on your business too as well. Just looking at the numbers alone will give you so much clarity on exactly what you need to do to scale your business to the next level. So if you found value in this, make sure you like the video if you found value in this, and subscribe to get more videos like this. If you have any questions, you can leave me a comment below. If you like the iPad style videos, let me know in the comments too as well. And then if you are a coach and you would like to scale your coaching business, sign more dream clients using virtual events, there's a link in the description for you to check out that explains what we do and how we can help you. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.